Keepie Uppies with Richie and Tots.
Well, hello there, football friends. So tonight is episode 3 of Keepie Uppies Extra Time, and the special guest tonight is no other than myself. So Tots has sent me some homework. He's going to ask a few questions in way of celebration for the podcast, and it's over its 2-year-old birthday. So Tots, straight in, no kissing, as they say. First header, first tackle, first pass. Over to you. Let's get this game of Keepie Uppies going.
You've just deafened me there, Richie, with that. Hello, everybody. But it's good to hear that you're using your normal accent, because I noticed, see, whenever you're doing your wee pre-recorded ones, for a minute, you know when you usually do your this is blah blah blah, I could have swore it was your brother Stephen.
Yeah.
You definitely do like
really?
an American kind of accent. Hello, folks.
That's
welcome to Keepie Uppies.
That's my teacher's voice.
So you were saying, we were just chatting there, sort of 2.25 years you've been doing the podcast. Does it feel like 2.5 years, or?
It doesn't, and I'll be honest with you, that's thanks to you in a long way, because I started off, you kicked in and got involved, which gave it new legs and which kept it fresh and kept it going. So
just like the over 35.
We've been exactly. Even the legs in the team. We've been kind of reinventing ourselves month on month, week on week. We've sort of stuck to a formula recently, which has been well received. So, no, the time's flew.
And just to go back then, 2.5 years, why did you do the podcast? And has it kind of progressed the way you thought it would?
It's got bigger and better than ever. Initially, it was me just playing around with the technology. And sort of taking a leaf out of the book of Andy McGibbon and boys like that had something to say, and we're happy to say it. So, as I said, in lockdown, it was all born out of that, just being bored, reaching out to football friends locally. It was actually a conversation in the backyard with Andy, just saying, you know, this concept that I have in my head, nobody else does it. Nobody else does it locally. It's not done, you know. To my knowledge, it wasn't being done anywhere else. You know, just kind of grabbing people, celebrating them, and Keepie Uppies. You know, reminiscing, talking about old times. And with lockdown, it was an opportunity to reach out to the old football friends. That was the first go-to for me. You know, you'll ask me this later, but some of the chats that I sort of caught up with. Mark McCann, one stands out in my head. Here in Toner, you know, boys who I played football with as a kid. So when the world slowed down, when you were stopping, when you had nothing else to do, only stare at the TV or stare at your phone, you had time to reminisce, time to think. So it was an opportunity to, as I say, reach out and kill the boredom of lockdown.
Yeah, because I remember that I suppose it was during lockdown that I started listening to podcasts, because there was nothing else to do. But I remember then obviously listening to yours. And it was brilliant, because, as you said, it hadn't been done before, and it was class then when you were kind of, you know, chatting to, might have been Goodyear manager, Lurgan Celtic manager, or whoever it would have been, Mark McCann, you had Killian, the referee. It was just, I just always remember on the train just really looking forward to the chat and just hearing bits and bobs, and because everybody was doing podcasts, but it was like maybe about podcasts about the Irish League, and it could have been the Premier League. There was a lot of kind of samey podcasts, but yours was different in the sense that it was very local. You know, nobody covers middle or intermediate or amateur or whatever. They're kind of almost forgotten about. It's all Irish League and Premier League and whatever else.
Exactly that. And what I was afraid of too was doing a podcast and just repeating other things that other people were saying on podcasts. You know, our chat is local and everybody's story is completely different, completely unique. So, and you're not, you know, okay, we talked about VAR and stuff like that. on, in the early ones, and you're talking about the dramas of the Premier League and all that sort of stuff. But everything ultimately, when it got down to nitty gritty, talking individuals, not one conversation was the same. Everybody's journey had a quip, had gold, if you like. And as I say, I think that's why people relate.
And even when we kind of did open it up to, speaking to guys from Funmanor and Western League, or it could have been wherever, even find, because we're so small, they would know maybe somebody like, for example, talking to Patrick Kelly there last week. He was even saying, I remember playing against Oxford Sunnyside. You've been chatting to Wadey Anderson. He was, remembered so and so that played in Lurgan, or Kieran O'Kane, obviously would have known Darren Mullen, or they're all almost linked. Because
everybody's
we're so
linked.
small.
That's
Yeah,
right. The football community have bought into it. We've had people approaching us as well as us reaching out and approaching people, which again, I suppose, shows the merit of what we're doing. People are engaged. So it makes it all worthwhile, and that's why it's continued.
So I love the name Keepie Uppies. So how did you come up with Keepie Uppies? And also love the music. So you have to plug a wee bit about Andy. But so why Keepie Uppies,
well,
and why that
Uppies
song?
is we're keeping up with football friends, and obviously the game. Somebody referred to the podcast as Toe Toppies, and I quickly set them straight. So Keepie Uppies is keeping the ball up, right? That's how we reference it. But it's keeping up with local football, with football friends, with the football community. So hence Keepie Uppies. Very self-explanatory. Keepie Uppies with Richie and Tots made it stand out because there's actually some taglines with Keepie Uppies, etc. But we kind of stand out with having the Keepie Uppies with Richie and Tots. The theme tune was gifted to me by my good friend Andy McGibbon of the Bonables, and it's the opening credits, or the intro to 10,000. Now in the song 10,000, there's a little tilt to the hat to me by Andy, my good friend. There's a line in it which says, 10,000 reasons to love the effortless cool of Richie McGee. He's no man's fool. That's a line in the actual song. So that song means quite a lot to me. It's nice to be captured in verse. So 10,000 was a gift from Andy to me, and as you said, it is a catchy tune. It is a great tune. The Bonables themselves are a great band, so I'm able to get that song out there every single time we release a podcast. Intro and outro. So thanks again to Andy.
Brilliant tune, and a solid keeper as well. Where is Andy these days? He's haven't seen him since.
Andy's back again. This is the whole thing about the evolution of the podcast and all. We've all ended up, the world's opened up again. We've got busy. Thankfully, you have been able to step in and do solo runs, because so the world's opened up for Andy again as well as a musician. He was out traveling the world again, playing his music. He's working. He's also damaged his knee. But yeah, Andy was in Scandinavia and stuff there last October. And he's back recording, doing his live stuff. So his world's opened up again. The football has took a back seat, and he's doing his podcast, doing his live music, doing his band stuff. So it was nice to have him when he was here in goals, but no longer.
No longer. He's still alive, but he's no longer. He's no longer
alive.
with us.
He's still kicking.
He's no longer with us for the over 30 minutes.
He's still rocking and rolling and whatnot.
And here, what about my? Did you hear about my goal then?
I haven't.
Weekend?
No, you tell me. Only one goal apparently. You should have had 3. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I should have had 2, but to be honest, it was just like it was all about the run. Mel, he sneaked down the left wing. He pulled it across the box, and it was just a 6-yard box. Couldn't really miss. But it was all about the movement. You have to be there to put them away. Reminded me a wee bit, like the Arsenal Invincibles. That they would have scored sort of a very similar goal most weeks, where they would have just worked it out wide to Thierry Henry or Robert Perez, and he would have pulled it back for Freddie Youngberg. I was like Freddie Youngberg, just stealing in, ghosting in. But yeah, I should have had a second goal. Mel again, put me through. Keeper came turn out of his goal, way outside his box. and so it took it round him. Open goal, 20, 25 yards out. It should have been an easy finish, but I think it was overthinking. I had to hit it with my left foot the way it was kind of inside right position, and I just knew as soon as I hit it, it wasn't going in. It was just went into the side net. It was
I didn't
awful.
think you had a left foot, to be honest
Well, I
with you.
don't, and that kind of proved it. That proved it. I told you and Fred years ago never to play me left back.
No.
But yeah, and then basically most of the stands started laughing. Like that's my next memory of just everybody that was there in the stand. Not that there was many, but yeah, just burst out laughing. And then one of the Armagh City veterans just started bursting out laughing in my face and said, "Sorry, boy, I shouldn't be laughing, but that was awful." So needless to say, yeah, it was.
Well, that's good for your confidence.
Yeah, and the stick I got after the game. Everybody forgot about the goal they scored, the crucial second goal to give us some breathing space. But anyway, our first win since September 2021.
Fantastic, and it's a long time indeed.
Hopefully it's not another 14 months. No, we deserve it. Probably
by the time we get back to training, it might be.
Yeah. So there you are.
So go through me this again. Mel was Thierry Henry, and you were Freddie Ljungberg.
I need to think that one through. Mel definitely wouldn't be Thierry Henry.
Ray Potter, maybe?
Trying to think of a footballer that looks like Jamie Bryson. It's tough. It's tough. So here, to go back to never mind about my goal, my crucial second goal.
Well, hold on a minute. Your career has taken a strange path, because normally midfielders become right backs. But you're a right back that's become a midfielder and a goal scoring midfielder now.
Well, who's to say I wasn't always a goal scoring midfielder? But I was never put there to find out.
Anderson had you playing right back, so he knows better than most.
No, right back's my position. It's funny sometimes. I find it probably easier, almost ghosting in from right back as opposed to receiving the ball further up the field. Then you've your back to play as well, so it's. So yeah, right back. I'm more used to right back, but I didn't mind playing right midfielder or anywhere, to be honest. Obviously, you get a bit more space at over 35s, but we'll just see how the last couple of games go, because I think we've still a Belfast team.
Ford FC.
Ford, with to play them, and with to play the other Belfast team. Is it Aquinas? Is that how you pronounce that? Never know if I'm pronouncing that right, but we've to play them twice. Haven't played them yet, and I think that's it then, is it? Maybe just 3 more games?
I think so in the league, and then a couple competitions. But
yeah.
If you say that team Aquinas with your American teacher voice, it sounds better.
Yeah, okay. So to go back to you, because this episode is supposed to be about Richie McGee, what about your guests then? Is there 2? I know it's a tough one because you've had so many guests and they're all very different, and there's ones that close friends and people you've never met before, but is there 2 that kind of I'm sure they all stand out, but if you're picking 2, if it was pushing you for your top 2 guests, and why, who would they be?
The first one would probably be Mark McCann, because it was the most well received, and it's the concept that has stuck with the Keepie Uppies questions. And it was as Mark, decent spud, and the conversation flowed, and it was, there is an element of nervousness and trying to make it all flow way back when. So Mark's was definitely the most, for me, was nice to reflect. For me it was reflecting rather than other people reflecting about themselves, because I had Maggie and Smitty on, and talking about stories and stuff from the past. So it was nice to be part of that communications with Mark and remembering the same things. But Mark sort of, to me, set the standard, and how he came across in the podcast I thought was brilliant. So that would be the sort of standout one from the early episodes. And then I'm torn, because we've had so many special ones after that. Again, Kieran Toner, another football friend that I shared the field with. But some of the young ones we've spoken to, who are only starting out in their journey, some of the older ones that we've talked to, and some players and coaches that are in the middle of their careers. So it's a tough one. It's a real tough one. Again, to keep it,
You're sitting on the fence here,
again,
Jamie. Right?
I'm trying not to sit in the fence. I'll tell you another one that really stands out was Julie Henderson. Again, just in the position I am as a girls' academy coach and all that sort of stuff, and how I opened that broadcast to the girls of the academy, and how Julie answered the questions, and how all the girls took it on board. The parents loved the interaction, loved the podcast. Again, so well received. And then there's the element of pride, having coached Julie as a kid, to see Julie go on and continue to succeed in her career as a PT and as a player. You know, and so again, her football career has its own tale. So again, if you're asking for two, that's two. But you know, there's probably another two that I could pick out to be another top two for 20 different reasons. So without sitting on the fence, there you go.
Well, no, fair play to you. And yeah, I suppose I love the Mark McCann one because you know, he obviously had an excellent career in the Irish League, and then when it came to him doing his Keepie Uppies, you know, your best left foot, right foot, you know, the names he was rhyming off,
Yeah.
you know, and there was player like Mark Glendenny. I remember him. He was one of my favourite Clonavon players growing up. He was a wee left back, and yeah, just some of the names he was mentioned there. So yeah, flip, I remember because even running through some of the names, you end up sort of reminiscing about players that you know you grew up watching,
yeah.
you know, way back in the mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
And then obviously your Julie Henderson one, you know, was fantastic. I thought it was fascinating hers because, you know, when we were doing the podcast with Mia there recently,
Yes.
you could tell the difference in that, you know, Mia had those opportunities, all those kind of, because there's obviously a bit of an age gap. You know, she had all those opportunities with, fair enough, she had to travel maybe a wee bit, but with the girls' teams, whereas Julie didn't have that. And now, probably as time wore on, then she was able to join, I think, wasn't it Cliftonville eventually, but, you know, she probably wouldn't have had all the, obviously, girls and ladies teams that they have around Craigavon and Lurgan and Portadown now. And you gave her that, you obviously gave her that, you know,
well,
the confidence.
Not that I give it to her, you know.
Well,
she showed resilience to do what she went and done. And
100%.
do, you know,
but, you know, you also gave her the confidence and belief, I suppose, as well. And without doing that, she mightn't have enjoyed her football as much, and she might have went down a different path. But in saying that, she's a very determined woman, like, so
yeah.
I think it would have worked out anyway. But
absolutely.
But the Harry Dixon one as well was a brilliant one.
Again, the Harry Dixon one for me, and I said it when I done it, but that was the whole concept of Keepie Uppies. The whole thing was about getting local football friends, football community that don't get celebrated enough. Some stories that people don't know or need to know that I feel like there's a story need to be told, that we can reach out and do that. And Harry, way back when, was the first one that I'd earmarked. And for various reasons, you know, COVID and all this sort of stuff, I'd never got round to doing it. And to do it in such a format, which was done recently, was absolutely fantastic. The help that went into it, the whole night itself was spectacular. There's still a video floating about again, which is due to be edited and released to sort of capture them special moments too. You know, Harry's, my goodness, he is Mr. Football. You know, the Oxford United, the whole story's there on the podcast type of thing, where it all began and where it is now, and still the biggest voice on the sidelines at this first team games, you know. But to do what we done that night and to capture on video and to share it with all his football friends and the admiration the people in the room had for him. You know, he held court every time he opened his mouth to respect all these great footballers that were sitting in the room. You know, we've heard tales of the Henderson brothers, for example, you know, just two that was in the room out of 20, 30 players. All Harry held court. He was their gaffer, and to celebrate him and celebrate, you know, the club's history and the club's achievements and Harry's achievements as part of that was very, very special. Very, very special. Again, we're learning, me and yourself both, as hosts and as podcasters, with the technology and all that sort of stuff. But the authenticity of it all, I think, is what makes it all the more appealing. You know, we're not cut. It's not nothing's rehearsed. It's all honest to God from the heart. upfront and honest, you know.
Warts and all.
Warts and all, plenty of them.
But yeah, there's the other kind of ones that kind of stick out as well. Yes, Darren Mullen. When I
Yeah,
remember sending an email to, I don't know whether I sent it to Newry or was there maybe an email address for Darren himself on the Newry City website. But anyway, I sent this email off some Sunday. I was bored and I thought, you know what, I wouldn't mind chatting to him after what he's achieved for Newry. And like, I wasn't even expecting him to email me back, you know. And it was literally maybe
yeah,
hours later, he's emailing back, oh yeah, no bother. Now, I think we timed it well. Maybe not so much for him, but you remember
yeah.
he ended up with COVID that week. So he probably was
That's
just
right. Yeah, yeah,
down to do anything to get away from the wife. Um, so he was like, oh yeah, yeah, happy days. And it was just fantastic chatting to him. You know yourself, sometimes when you think, I know
yeah. Brilliant.
he was manager, they were in the championship at that stage, but I think it was inevitable they were going to get promoted into the Premier League. But um,
Yeah,
you know, you're thinking he's, he might have the time for some blah blah, but God, you could just sit down and have a couple of pints with him, maybe 10 pints.
exactly,
You know, and he's
exactly.
a
And that's the
Liverpool
thing.
fan, which always helps. But you know, it's just great chatting to him and just very, very modest. Just you could see his passion for Newry, and you know he's so far so good for them. I know obviously they'd like to be a bit higher, but they're still rattled up. I
I
think
think
about
they're doing
15
fantastic.
points. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny you say football friends. Like that's what we're created there with hanging out with, you know, reaching out to Dorn and other ones. A couple of weeks after we'd done the podcast, we went to the Liverpool Legends game in Newry Showgrounds and met Dorn, and so I was able to put a face to the man, you know, having sit down and done the podcast with him, you know, shook his hand and he's, brilliant, keep up the good work, you know. He was, as you say, modest as the day is long, hanging out with Jan Mulvey and John Aldridge and Jason McAteer and Don Hutchinson, and was, you know, very, very complimentary about what we were doing and wished us all the best. So yeah, we're creating football friends. As I say, you doing what you're doing on Twitter, reaching out to these clubs and coaches and players, and it's took it to a new level. And our football community is growing all the more.
happy days. And speaking of that, you've kind of formed a beautiful link there about sort of reaching out to football clubs. Richie, you're looking to kind of freshen
Yes.
things up, and yeah, floor's
Well,
yours.
now you need to take credit for this one. I'll certainly put the concept out there, but
No, I won't take credit for
as
it
I
because
said,
it's already been done before by some other podcast or on BBC Sounds. But
yeah.
anyway, go on ahead.
Well, you can help me through this just as a narrator. So the intention is in the new year is to reach out to a willing football club and to try and showcase them over the remaining part of the season, the business end of the season, for want of a better term, I suppose. Just to see their journey from, let's say, January to the close season, and celebrate them, communicate with managers, with players, with backroom staff, with club volunteers, etc. So I think this here chat, Tots, we're able to put it out there. Anybody who's listening, any clubs that would be interested in being that chosen club. I don't know if we do get additional interest that we, I don't know, kind of raffle the process or whatever. But if we communicate via the social medias or reach out to Tots on Twitter, etc., a chosen club, we would be keen to do that. Again, you want to back me up, Tots? Just what you're
Yeah, no, 100%.
advocating
Yeah,
behind it?
I think we'd like to reach out to like a junior or intermediate side. As you said, just you know, seeing their journey the last few months of the season. I think it just makes it real. You know that we can. You know, again, you know, we're always hearing about Premier League, Irish Premier League, but you know the junior clubs, the intermediate clubs are sort of the foundation of Irish football, you know, and there's some, you know, it's just looking at you know all you know some of you know the main leagues in the junior and intermediate and cheapers. Pretty much you go through whether it be the Caribbean and Uri or the Fermanagh and Western or Ballymena and Provincial. There's about 6 or 7 teams like gunning for either promotion or winning the top division.
Yeah.
You take Intermediate B and Mid Ulster. There's potentially probably about 6 or 7 teams if you look at the league that could end up going up into Intermediate A. I think Intermediate A is probably between Oxford and Crewe, to be honest. One or two other teams might have different opinions, but I think that'll come down to those two. But so yeah, it'd be great just to capture, the last few months of somebody's season, and as you said, get chatting to the ideas that wouldn't probably, I don't know, Richie, it wouldn't probably be like a weekly thing, but probably what we're doing at the minute,
No.
maybe twice a month, chatting to the manager, chatting to the captain, volunteers as well. Everybody's involved with the football club, and it gives the football club exposure because it's all about the football teams at the end of the day, and the hard work that managers put in, and players and coaches and volunteers. And yeah, that's the idea. I suppose the concept came out of, I don't know if anybody's seen it. It was funny. It was Darren Mullen that put up a tweet about this podcast. Now, and I've completely forgotten what it's called on BBC Sounds.
Well, we can stick a link up too.
So it basically followed two clubs, Rotherham and Oxford United, and their journey the last few months of the season. Both Rotherham, they're both in the same league. Rotherham they were basically going for automatic promotion. Oxford were trying to get into the playoff, and it was just following both clubs. It was brilliant. Anybody that hasn't seen the podcast or heard the podcast should definitely listen to it. It's brilliant. There's about, I think there must have been about maybe 10 or maybe a dozen episodes, but it was brilliant. I'm not really big into podcasts, but it was one where I just couldn't wait to listen to the next episode, so it's Darren Mullen basically put it up about it, and Moment of Truth, that's what it's called. So it's on BBC Sounds, Moment of Truth. If you get a chance, definitely listen to it. So that's where it came out of, and I thought, you know what, that would be fantastic if we could do something similar, but just following a junior or intermediate side.
Yeah, absolutely.
In Northern Ireland.
In Northern Ireland. No, and as you say, there's various leagues where that story could be played out, with teams battling for whether it be promotion or relegation or whatever. If there's a couple of teams or anybody that's interested, reach out to us, and we can kind of pick the narrative and go from there in the new year and see how it goes. Could be multiple teams, could be just one, but we do have a change of pace in the pipeline. I think you'll agree, Todd.
Yeah. And what about finish off then, Richie? What about Irish Cup 5th round? I know our team Oxford Sunnyside missed out. Congratulations to Tandragee Rovers.
Tandragee fully deserved to go through.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was chatting to a few people.
The office.
Yeah, but Tandragee deserved it, yeah. I was talking to a few people who said they played well, yeah.
Yeah, Oxford just didn't get off to a good start, and then it sort of roller coastered. We a bit shell shocked from the poor start, and Tandragee, to their credit, sort of took their opportunities, and that was the difference, Just we couldn't get started after that. So congratulations to them. Hopefully they'll get their day out like we did last year. It'll be nice.
Yeah,
hopefully they get a draw which is favourable to them.
Yeah, I was just checking there. Last year, actually, we beat Tandragee in the 4th round, so they just missed out on the 5th round. So,
it's their turn. It's their turn. We can't be greedy.
But yeah, as you said,
we're not going into the Irish Cup expecting to win it. So
yeah, so there's Tandragee and there's another
St Mary's.
St Mary's, of course, yeah. St Mary's, fantastic. Yeah, that's both Tandragee and St Mary's first time in the 5th round.
Yeah, fantastic. And again, that was our fairy tale last year. So happy for the other teams to have their day out. Shout out to Shea Skelton, former player of mine, captain. Well, one of the veterans now, I think, at St Mary's. He'll be delighted for him and his players to get a day out in the Irish Cup.
That's it. And also we shout out to Crumlin United as well. They're through to the 5th round. I think it's their first appearance in 15 years or something. So they're in the Amateur Premier League. So I think they're the only amateur league team left. and Ballymona United as well from the Ballymena and Provincial. They're up into the fifth round as well. So fingers crossed they all get, as you said, big draw. And
favourable draw for the club and supporters.
So that's a wee happy note to finish it on, Richie. Are you going to do your American accent then to end the pod?
End the pod? No, you're all right. Thank you, guys. Yeah, well done, guys. Thanks for tuning in. No, listen, brilliant. Let me, before we sign off, thank you, Tots, because as I say, since you've got involved, we've spread our wings. You're reaching out to the right people. People are engaged. You're keeping the Twitter thing going. I'm kind of floundering over on Facebook and Instagram, sort of liking, sharing, trying to keep everybody engaged. So thank you and keep up the good work. And me and you need a pint of Bass and a pint of Smithwick sometime very soon before 100%. Christmas, and have an executive meeting and sort of keep the Keepie Uppies keeping up.
Yeah, if you can find a bar that does a Bass, I'll be there.
There you go. I look forward to that. You can hold me to it. That'll be our Christmas present.
Right, buddy.
All right, Rob, good man. Appreciate the chat, and hopefully it's well received again.
All right.
Chat to you soon.
Good luck to you.
All right, good luck.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Keepie Uppies with Richie and Tots.